and try and understand where each of the individual Sinawali in a series fits into the system as a whole. So I'm going to take a few examples and try and explain how you will work with the different Sinawalis. So the usual starting point for learning it, or the easiest starting point for a novice to learn Sinawali, is the 8 count or figure of 8 Sinawali. And that's because it has numerous really important connections and options within it. 3 or more main options. When the opponent same side blocks, I'm going to go to the side like this. The first strike draws, the second strike hits their arm, and I take control, which allows me to hit along the inside line away from their other stick. So this is specific for a certain thing. Where the opponent blocks on that line. So I come forward, so it's important that I've taken this step forward here, because this allows me to catch behind here. I can then feed you along this. If you defend that, I'm going to take your elbows and clinch there. So this one looks like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Is when I come forward, I draw. I use the first strike to draw. I bring my range forward. They cross body block, and I cross over. This gives me a destruction on. So if that cross body here, it gives me a destruction on that elbow there. 1, 2. That can be led up with another strike there, and I take it. Let's look at what happens when I come with exactly the same attack, but instead of defending on the same side, you defend cross body. So here, at this point, my footwork is going to differ. So before we were doing this where we step through, but here I want to get the angle. So I'm going to come across. I'm going to transition, what they call transition at the male base. So here, and I'll take in that hand. I'm going to lead in, so you come that way. So this is just the basics of the start of the system. But what it's showing is that at the lower levels, you're learning the exits. So when you're looking at the system, you're not trying to get a Sinawali. You don't start out saying, I'm going to use the 11 count or the 12 count or the 13 count or the 16 count. That's not what you're doing. You're setting out to find the most efficient way to control the opponent, to take care of the opponent, defame the opponent, take his weapons off him. The way you're going to do that is you're going to draw them. And I can draw this way, I can draw that way, I can draw low on either side. But I'm going to draw, and I can use my thrusts for drawing. Whatever way I draw my opponent into blocking or avoiding, or not, as the case may be, if they do nothing, I can simply start hitting them. I'm drawing them into something. If they react, the system then attacks that reaction. If they avoid, I'm attacking their range. If they block, I'm attacking the block. The system isn't set up to do a 16 count. The system is set up to do a 2 count or a 3 count or a 4 count, a 5 count or a 6 count. If you get to 7 count, it's basically guaranteed that either you're not doing it right or the opponent has effectively started to counter.
The 7 count shows the point in the system where the opponent's application of the counter is first learnt. The lower counts are basic attack by draws. The high counts look at dealing with the opponent's counters to the basic attacks, i.e. the figure of 8 Sinawali and counts 1 to 5.
The next one to look at is what does the 7 teach us. So, you remember 7 count? Yeah. Alright. So, when you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
So, what's it teaching us?
So it's that block there. You got three. You got the 4 count and the 3 count in there.
So why isn't it against that block?
Why is it?
Why isn't it against that block?
It's to get around that block.
It's not really,
Okay.
because you've been drawn, right?
Yeah.
So this is showing where attack by draw,
Yeah.
I already know what should have happened, but the fact that I'm doing something different indicates what I expected to happen wasn't the end of the story.
Yeah.
So the 7 count tells you what has to have fed back to you in your learning curve between your attack by draw and your counter attack.
Yep.
So if I'm attacking you here,
Yeah.
I'm going to attack low,
Yeah.
right? So the 7 count is high,
Yep.
right? So here where I attack, that's when I'm
Yeah.
drawn. But the fact that the 7 count, if it was that, isn't this, so I know it's not that.
Yeah.
But why, if it's up like normal,
Yep.
here, and I'm hitting there,
Yeah.
that's 1, right?
Yeah.
Now, that could be taken care of with this as well,
Yeah.
but there's a possibility for that, the use of that as a counter to this,
Yep.
right? There's also a possibility of when you strike, I draw,
Yeah.
and then as the next one comes in,
That's all something.
I draw, right?
Yeah.
So there's at least 2, but there's also the possibility that you've drawn me and then you withdrawn it,
Oh yeah.
right? So that
So good. Yeah. So.
I strike and then
Yeah.
you've moved back, and now I'm striking again, and then,
Yeah.
or you're coming across as you just did.
Yeah.
You draw it and then you
Yeah.
do that. So there are a couple of possibilities. One of the other possibilities is when you strike, as a novice, you often get taught double tapping.
Yeah.
So it strikes, and then I strike again,
Yeah.
right? So I'm just double tapping the stick. So it comes, 1, 2,
Yeah.
right? So there's a number of counters that it can be that when you were drawn on this to hit that,
Yeah.
doesn't give me that.
Yeah.
I've tried again, and you've defended again. Now we're going to go low to give me this.
Yeah.
How do I know you didn't come low?
How do I know?
Yeah, on the 7 count, how do I know you didn't come low?
I had to come low because that was coming with the leg.
Yeah, I would have said you would move back.
Oh yeah.
The reason why is that if you went low,
Yeah.
I would have taken that elbow,
Yeah.
and this would be this.
Yeah.
But the fact that the 7 count, the first variant of the 7 count is like this,
Yep.
would indicate that when I come low,
Yep.
you've avoided. So I've come high, then taken that hand.
Yeah.
Alright? So that gives you a look at what the 7 count is telling your opponent is doing. So you can work backwards
Okay. Yeah.
as to what they've countered with.
Yeah.
But the first one that you need to understand is the fact that your 4 count
Yeah.
has now been counted.
Yeah.
You thought it was pretty good, and now you're realizing it's not foolproof,
Yeah.
right?
So it's a continuation on to where it hasn't worked. Next one. Next one.
Yeah, so as a starting novice, what a lot of people do is they get this thing, well, that's just the 4 count with 3 extras put on there,
Yeah.
right? The old masters just put extras on there to make a 7, right? And they're just making numbers up. Now, what the old masters are telling you is that the 4 is really good, but there are counters.
Yeah.
Now you're training to go beyond that counter. So if you're counted in this way, try the next variant, which is the 7 count, which is to call them up here and then call them low.
Yeah. If I go there, you got to take my arm for come back.
Yeah, if you go back and then I've been able to crash your range,
Yeah.
you're caught where you're defending. I've now drawn a defence I can hit. That's one of the best lessons you can take out of the 7 count, because it's the first time you start to see a count that takes a lower count and adds to it, which is telling you that count is not infallible and that they will counter you, and you need to have additional traps ready for when they counter.
Yep.
So when it comes, I'll hit here, hit there, hit here, hit there, move back. That is it. Yeah, no, perfect. Yeah. So here, 1, 2, 3. Now on that one, I stuffed that up.
Yeah.
Why do I know? Because you would have come low, right? So where I've done this, and you come in with this one, you should have taken one there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the reality is I'm drawing you, bam, here, drawing you, here, back, boom.
Yeah.
But you can see, even though I've got those first 5 under control,
Yeah.
you've encroached on my range so much that I'm now crowded up at the end.
Yeah.
That part of the system is to keep advancing on them, breaking that range down.
Yeah.
So, it comes, 1, 2,
Sorry.
1, 2, here, done. The opponent will tell you what the next step is by their reaction. It's not a set Sinawali. Once you've started this, you're not started on a particular Sinawali. What you've started is a strike with a triggering event. You don't know what the triggering event is until the opponent feeds you that triggering event. Their reaction or non-reaction is the trigger for your next part of the Sinawali, and you don't know what that is. So whenever you start a Sinawali, at the start you don't know what that Sinawali actually will be. But the basic rule you should be trying to follow is take the first exit. And the 2 count, the 3 count, the 4 count, the 5 count, the 6 count give you the basic exits that you should be looking for whenever you do a Sinawali. Some of the rules for Sinawali as a system is don't start out your Sinawali believing you're going to do a 6 count, a 7 count, and an 8 count. Those counts are just there to teach you the exits and to understand what happens when the opponent has already counted your lower Sinawali traps. If you see an earlier exit, take it. At the end of your Sinawali, if you haven't finished it, you should flow into other Sinawalis, and most Sinawalis simply allow you to merge back into either one of the lower or one of the higher Sinawalis. You don't normally repeat over and over a Sinawali. Another important part of this is to understand that Sinawalis aren't set in stone. You don't have to stick to a Sinawali, but what you should be looking for is the different sections of the Sinawali that has an effective trap, and taking that trap out, and then you can start to mix your Sinawali together. So as you get better at learning the system, at learning all the Sinawalis and understanding the effective parts of those traps within the Sinawali and how to apply them, then you can take them out and mix them up and use them in different ways to make new and distinct Sinawali. You learn it first and then you play with it a bit later. So this is just some basic ideas on how to use Sinawali as a system.